Smiley Day Geeks. Welcome back to the Geeksider Show. I'm Josh.
I'm Anna.
And in this video, we're talking about Critical Role Campaign 3, Episode 11. So if you haven't seen it yet and you want to avoid any spoilers, skip this video and come back later because everything we say from this point forward is going to be a spoiler. This was a super long episode.
Yeah, it was.
We live on the East Coast. We're in Florida. And this ended around like 3 a.m. our time, almost 3 a.m. So it was really long and so much happened. Yeah. Started with some interaction between the Nightmare King and the party. And then combat. Some super intense combat.
The Nightmare King was totally playing with them.
Yes.
Like, he was like a person dangling a little mouse tail in front of a cat. Mm-hmm. And going like, get it, get it, get it, to see what they could do.
And Dorian went down, rolled a natural 20 on his first death saving throw, came back up.
Orem
went down, rolled a natural 20 on his first death save and came right back up. I don't think that's ever happened in Critical Role before. Anybody rolling a natural 20 on their first death save.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
I don't think it's ever happened.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Certainly not 2 in a row.
Yeah, definitely not 2 in a row. Yeah. So it was so intense though. Yeah. And every combat this campaign has been pretty intense.
Yeah.
And I would have to go back and watch like the first 15 episodes of campaign 2 to see how intense that combat was. But I don't remember it ever being this close.
I vaguely recall Caleb going down a lot.
Well, he's a wizard,
in the beginning. Yeah, so I vaguely recall him falling in combat like every single combat for a while, and that's kind of Dorian this campaign.
Dorian goes down all the time.
Dorian goes down all the time.
And what was funny is Dorian went down this time, but he's usually like up on the front line. Like he's a melee bar, but he kept his distance this time. And that shatter spell was clutch.
They did the first round of combat.
It was a great round. It was a great round of combat.
It was so good. And then after that, it kind of got a little bit dicey, and then they started rolling well, and Nightmare King started rolling poorly, so it went back in their favor again. But
it was the ebb and flow of this combat was really cool, because they started off really fast. Like, everybody rolled reasonably well, and then their rolls were shit for a while.
Yeah.
And then the Nightmare King, I don't think like Matt did say, he's starting to look a little hurt.
Yeah, but I don't think he ran because he was hurt.
That to me means 50% health.
Yeah, I don't think he ran because of that. I think he ran because he was done toying with them. Yeah. And he was bored.
Yeah.
He's like, I know what you can do now. I'm good.
But also during this combat, he recognized the smell of fern as a Callaway.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if that means, what do you think? Do you think that means he's connected to the Callaway somehow? Or he's just run across them at some point?
Here's my crazy headcanon.
Okay, go for it.
He knows Nana.
Oh,
and that's why Nana told her stories. Although, I don't know if that was, like, intentional, because I think Ashley just made that up on the spot. So I don't know if Matt already had it planned that he knew the Callaways, or if he added it in because that was just perfect. But that's my wild headcanon theory, is that the Nightmare King knows Nana somehow. Don't know how, but he knows her somehow. Do we have
a gentleman situation here?
I don't know,
but... Is the Nightmare King Fern's grandpa?
Who knows?
That's just silly. Also, during this combat, Chetney's a werewolf.
Yeah, which, like, basically, literally everybody had predicted.
That was the fan theory about Chetney.
I'd say probably about 95% of fans thought that he was a werewolf, and about 75% of fans thought that he was a Blood Hunter Order of the Lycan. Mm-hmm. And I was actually thinking earlier today, Travis had 5 spaces in his bio for his current thing, and everybody was like, oh, Rogue, that totally fits. And I was like, so does Troll. And I was like, ha, I was right. Fuck, no, I wasn't. It's Lycan. Lycan also has 5 letters.
So that was like the big fan theory about Chetney. Now, I wasn't real keen on them, putting Rogue on his character sheet. Totally get why.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to reveal it to the fans that he's a blood hunter, you're going to reveal it to the cast that he's a blood hunter, and then like they're going to figure it out that he's a Order the Lycan, he's probably a werewolf, all that stuff. All that stuff's going to be revealed if you put his class in there.
Yeah.
Still wasn't super keen on the bait and switch
Didn't bother
class.
me at all.
But like I said, I totally get why. I can't like super complain about it. It's just kind of one of the things that I didn't particularly care for.
It
But I
made
get
narrative sense.
Yeah, for sure. Also, in this episode, we finally met the Anger. And it wasn't an existing character that we've met before, which I like.
Yeah. I concur.
We did get a name drop, though, from Vox Machina. Jarrett. That is who communicated all the events with the Anger to Keyleth, who then sent Orem on this mission. So I'm hoping we see some more threads back to Vox
just
Machina.
These little Easter
campaign.
eggs that like you don't have to watch a campaign 1 in order to understand, but that people who have watched campaign 1 are like, oh, and we can squee over it. Like, I like that. And like, they're got all these little threads. All of them have their own little stories in these little threads, and they all keep converging and merging into one overarching story. Like Orem's quest now is leading him to the Heartmoor. The Heartmoor is where Ashton needs to go in order to clear their debt. And Dorian wants to do that too because Gianna's who holds his brother's bounty. So like, it seems like all these separate things, and yet they're all linked together somehow.
But then also the Nightmare King, everything going on with that is interconnected to what's been going on the Spires. So it's like everything is connected.
Yeah.
And I don't know how long that can continue in this campaign, because eventually things are going to diverge.
Yeah.
But I am really loving that so far.
Yeah, originally my thought was Matt as a DM, most likely in an open world, because this is his job, he probably has numerous things that they could go and do, and sometimes they do them and sometimes they don't, and sometimes things are just left undone, quests unfulfilled in the cities because they just never made it around to asking the right questions and getting them. And I was like, well, maybe this time around, like through experience playing with him, they've just accidentally asked all the right questions of all the people and have all the quests. They're doing all the side quests. So that was my initial thought. And then they started tying together, and I was like, oh, I don't think so. I do think that he planned out all of these interconnected things.
And if you think back to Vox Machina with Keyleth's mother, and then with the Mighty Nine, and they found her on Rumblecusp, and that was a thread that they just never pulled on in Vox Machina. And so far, it seems like they're pulling on all the right threads.
Yeah.
And that's just, Matt is a phenomenal storyteller. And it just seems like the players are like in tune with what's going on. It's really fun to watch.
Yeah, it really is.
So backtracking back to the combat that the episode opened up with. After the Nightmare King left, he set that machine to explode, and it blew up that tower. There are witnesses, and Lord Estros did. He's like, do you guys need some cloaks or something so you can keep it on the DL here? Because they told him everything. Eventually, all the stuff that they've been doing is gonna find them.
Yeah.
And they're I mean, it's almost unavoidable at this point, unless they just roll some phenomenal deception and stealth checks and stuff, that they're going to end up branded criminals, I think, and end up being on the run. Because they've breaking and entering all over the place. Their actions directly resulted in a tower exploding. It's going to find them sooner or later.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of funny to see the campaigns kind of degrade a little bit. Like campaign 1 were mighty heroes and the whole like continent basically knew who they were.
And that's where we're intro to these characters, is they're already famous.
They're already famous mighty warriors that save the world, and everybody, the whole continent wide, knows who they are. And then you have the Mighty Nine, who are kind of a bunch of fuck ups, but ultimately do a lot of good, save the world, but nobody knows it. And then you have
The new nobodies maybe don't like it.
Yeah, probably not.
Hope that's not the name. I
But
do not like it at all.
Campaign 3, which is a bunch of chaotic fuck-ups.
Right.
Messing up literally everything that they tried to do. And doing a lot of crime, which, poor Orem. I feel for Orem so much.
Now, speaking of Orem, Chetney has done nothing but lie to the group the entire time he's been there. And he's a werewolf. Ashton, unsurprisingly, totally down for it.
Yeah.
Fern, unsurprisingly, totally okay with it.
Yeah. FCG, unsurprisingly, is willing to forgive and forget.
Dorian and Chetney had, some bonding moments, so Dorian seems pretty okay with it.
Yeah. Dorian seems very okay with it, and that I think that probably plays into a little of their backstory. I imagine they were kind of sheltered, didn't have a lot of friends, so maybe he's a little more willing to forgive a friend.
But I'm a little surprised that Orem isn't. That he seems to be as okay with it as he is. He doesn't seem totally like, no, we can't trust this guy. He's done nothing but lie to us.
Yeah, so far. I don't know if maybe there's going to be a private conversation, because Orem was not okay with it. You could just tell in the body language of Liam and his facial expressions that he was not okay with what Chutney did, and he even questioned Chutney about it because he was not okay with it. So I think it was more of, well, the group basically overruled me, so I'm going to go along with it for now.
And then Imogen, and we talked about this briefly. Like, I'm surprised Imogen, because she is very introverted and sheltered, and for somebody to be dishonest with her, I feel like she would take that personally. But then you mentioned, she can read minds.
Yeah, she can read minds, so I feel like maybe she can feel that he didn't mean ill, even though he lied to them. He didn't mean ill by it. He wasn't trying to hurt them. He was just trying to save his friend. So
and protect himself.
Yeah, and protect himself. So he's lying because he felt like he had to.
Yeah.
Also, though, on his second watch through, FCG reminded Imogen that he was just searching for answers, which she is doing. And I think maybe she would, thought about that and be like, would I lie to a group of people that I just met if it helped me get the answers that I wanted? I think she probably would. And I think that helped.
And speaking of Imogen, last thing I want to talk about in this video is the big Imogen reveal. She did finally get access to the library. And, Esteros wrote the note, and I think Esteros did intend for the entire group to get access to that library.
Or at least Imogen and Logna.
Yeah.
Because I feel like, I could be misremembering, but I feel like when Imogen brought it up to him, she had mentioned that her and Logna were trying to get into research stuff. So, I feel like he would have at least included Logna.
But the way I think it was written, it was kind of implied that everybody should have been able to go in. But then Cynthia, she went and checked with somebody and said, no, only you.
Yeah.
For Imogen. And if that gets back to Lord Esteros, I don't know what his reaction.
So I'm not convinced entirely that he had permission to send everybody in, or even Imogen and Logna in. He had to contact somebody at the library and wait for them to get back before he could write her letter. And I'm wondering if he wrote the letter and the person that he wrote to wrote back and said, one person. I will allow you one person. So that might be as per their conversation. So he might know about that. He might not. If he doesn't know about it, I bet he's a little peeved.
The vibe I got was he was telling them that, yeah, this is for all of you. That's what I got from their interaction with Lord Esteros. Interested to find out, if anything's going to come of that. It could just be, totally swept under the rug and no follow through on that, which no problem with that. But Imogen, in her research, which did take a while because Laura rolled very low.
Yes.
So who knows how many hours that actually took game time. But she did research the Red Storm dreams and came across some names, one of which was her mother.
Yeah, well, she came across a study which lists participants, one of which was her mother. And I'm going to be very interested because I imagine she's going to go back the next day and look up this professor or this doctor, whoever, that conducted the study. And I would be very curious to find out where this doctor is located.
And in the book where she found this information, the last several pages have been torn out. But oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I mean, there was so much like little lore drop, well, not freaking major lore drops in this episode. That like between Chetney's a werewolf, the Nightmare King knows the Callaways, and Imogen. That's 3 characters who get some serious lore drops.
Yeah. And then, I mean, I guess for the cast, technically they had some Ashton lore drops since they all forgot.
Yeah. But long episode, and in my opinion, the best episode of the campaign so far. The best session.
Yeah,
It had everything.
Yeah. It was a really good episode. It's kind of tied with me for episode 10, even though episode 10 was really short because episode 10 had a huge Ashton lore dump, and Ashton is my character from this episode. Like, they're my comfort character in this campaign.
This one, episode 10 was fantastic. 11 is my favorite episode of the campaign so far. Just between the campaign and the role-playing moments and the lore drops and the reveals. Oh my gosh, give me more of this kind of stuff. Oh. And I think that's all we have for this video. If we didn't mention something that you think we should have, let us know down in the comments. Also, if you enjoyed this video, please let us know by dropping a like on it and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already.
And thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.